All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the final post-show of Season 2 Survivor Syracuse Snakes and Secrets. You guys just saw the winner, the sole survivor, Austin Murphy, claim the title, the second ever in Syracuse University. Well-deserved. And we'll get to hear from him later, as well as the other 3 finalists that joined him in the Final Four. But tonight, we have 4 great people joining me. You've seen him before. Ethan from Syrvivor UConn. He is back again to share his hot takes and insights. Shane was here 2 weeks ago, Carnegie Mellon University. Great presence. Scotty Survivor coming out very soon. Very excited for that. Thank you for coming on, Shane. And we have 2 Ball State representatives. Nick, who came in on like the second episode, still on keeping track of the season. Glad he's back. And Brenda back for a third time. Great fans, great stuff going on there in Ball Viber. Really excited for that season out as well, whenever it does. With that being said, let's go straight into the episode. So you guys saw the first finale and then the second finale with a tiebreaker. Austin and Mike, they've basically been parallel this entire game. At least I tried to edit it that way. And this tiebreaker, let me tell you, the production was screaming when it went to 10-10, and then tiebreaker again, 3-3, and then deadlock. And it came down to I think Ohio State used it as a tiebreaker where they counted the amount of hours that they played in the entire game, and Austin was the closest. What did you guys think of that whole entire thing with the tiebreaker and Austin and Mike tying it and all that?
I personally think that's where Derek lost the game. I think the way he played that was I think he could have played it better and gotten to the end and won. But I think that's where he kind of handed the win to Austin, in my opinion.
No, I think that's completely valid. I think it giving someone a tiebreaker isn't usually a good idea. Saving an ally with a tiebreaker is one thing, but that wasn't the situation. Giving someone a tiebreaker is not normally a good thing because it's a resume builder. That was so much fun though. The tie and then the tie and then the tie out of 15 questions and then 3 more, and then that's wild. We had to come up with so many extra contingencies for that. So thanks to y'all for putting it together. That's so much fun from a production side and from a viewing side. Stressful because I was rooting for one over the other, and I genuinely no idea which way that was going to go. So a lot of fun.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to add something that Ethan just said. You give somebody a tiebreaker, you put that on a resume, but then there was another vote. It's not like they were going to a final tribal right after. They still had another vote where Austin could have won immunity, and it was pretty obvious that Addie was making it to the final 2 based on the edit. And just in general, I just kind of got the vibes that she was going to make final 2. So interesting move by Derek. It was definitely really, I kind of was trying to catch up because I was watching it kind of late. And I was like, wait, no, I got to see every single second of this because it truly was down to the wire. I honestly, I tried to think about how many days and tried to do the math in my head, and I failed. So
Oh, yeah. And I didn't let them do the math. I gave them a strict 2-minute cutoff. There was no chance. I mean, Austin's very smart, but there was no chance they could have calculated it that fast.
Nah, that's easy. Light work, Luke. Grab your calculator. I mean,
Ethan's a big brain guy, so maybe he would have done it. Who knows?
Brent, I thought the challenge was fair. I think it was proper that they had to go against each other to see who earned that spot in the 3rd seat. However, I knew when that last question came up, I'm like, Austin got it, because I think Austin's very perceptive about everything in the game, and something about the way he was answering questions and just talking in his confessionals all season, I felt like he would have got that right, and he did.
It was crazy that both of them got so many questions right. I'm gonna ask Mike this later, but if Addie was there, or maybe even Derek, I don't think neither of them get as many questions as Austin and Mike.
Probably not. I was impressed.
Well, it's funny too because they got so many of the really hard ones correct, and then they would flub on the simple ones, what the 3rd tribe name was. That was
tough. The 3rd tribe name. Mike and Valentina were so close during the entire season, and Mike didn't know she was picked first. for when they had to find me. It was just Valentina was so mad at him after that. It was just like such a little thing can go opposite way. But what did you guys think of Mike and his entire game, just ending off at this point and the way that it did?
I thought Mike had it in the bag like around final 6. And Austin had to take it from him, and he did. So props to Austin. But I think Mike has nothing to like hang his head over. I thought he played a great game. And like I don't really have a lot of like things to poke holes in. Like he played very well. He should be proud of himself, and he can feel disappointed that he didn't win on a 3rd tiebreaker challenge. Like, but that's tough. That's just how it goes sometimes. So props to him. Big fan of Mike. I thought he was a fun character too.
Yeah, we said it on the last show that Ethan and I were on too. Like, this was Mike's to lose. And the fact that it came down to like a tiebreaker and then another tiebreaker, like really doesn't say anything about his game. Truly, I think that's like kind of just the luck of the draw. And, well, I mean, you could have had like a comprehensive like document knowing all these things. Like,
I just write down what day it is on my hand. I have like tally marks going up my arms.
I mean, I've seen people do that. But you can't really fault him for not knowing how many hours you played the game. Like, that's just so arbitrary. Like, who would know that? So I think overall he played a very strong game, and it just sucks to see somebody go out like that. I felt for him there, really.
It's been no secret to Luke, because I've told him many times that I was hella rooting for Geneva, but like in my 2nd place spot was kind of a tie between Mike and Derek, like were my winner picks. I couldn't pick one of them, but I guess if I had to, I probably would have picked Mike, because he was playing really well.
Yeah, I was really sad to see Mike go, because he was my number 1 along with Derek. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing you could do at that point. I mean, I'm sure that question like still bothers him to this day. I know it would bother me, that's for sure. But yeah, he played a great game overall from beginning to end. And if he ever got the opportunity to come back in a future season, that would be great.
No, I love
the returner's call. Yeah.
I love Mike. Like, if I had to pick a player that would have represented me in this game, it would have been Mike, just because of how paranoid he was when he didn't need to be. That's just me in a nutshell. And he's just a good kid. He's just always smiling, not causing any waves. Just a really good kid.
He needed stitches in his chin, and he still had like a big goofy grin. He just got like a positive energy the whole time. I really like, as a viewer and someone like who produces these things, that helps a lot. Like, you appreciate those people.
Oh yeah, and I was so scared because that was the first time that we had like an injury, and we're not like insured. You know what I mean? I was like, crap. Like, oh,
I'm worried about getting sued.
Maybe holding a rock through the snow isn't the best idea. But no, he was such a good sport. And yeah, he was really good sport, and he'll be joining us a little bit soon. He's just doing something else, and he's gonna join us in like 5 minutes. But what are you guys' thoughts on Austin from this and being able to just stay composed during that entire tribal council, beat Mike in the final tiebreaker, and just, you know, is this where he won the game?
Absolutely. His end game was excellent. Like from the part 1 of the finale to the end, like I don't think he made a single mistake. Everything was perfect.
Even being wrong at final 6, I don't think hurt him. I think it probably earned him more like jury respect and a better story to tell, so that he could galvanize people at 5 and 4, and it worked. I think he worked with what he was given as well as he could.
Like, you kind of see it all season. Like, even though like their reasons for getting Austin out weren't necessarily because they thought he was going to win, like they were writing his name down a hell of a lot of times. Like, I can't count how many times it was, but it was a lot of times that his name is written down. So like, he was doing something right all season. And I think the way he composed himself during that tribal is pretty similar to the way he composed himself the entire game. He said it about 1 million times in final tribal. He played with like a lot of integrity. And like, he had that whole speech about the other alliance. So like, even when he was like ranting about how mad he was at the game, he seemed like very composed and chill. So like, that seemed pretty on brand to me, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
just to clarify that, I think someone in the live chat said, I think it was a Sharu maybe. Austin got voted for 16 times this entire game. That's a feat not to be ignored. And he was,
a lot. That's scary.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like why his game was so good, because clearly if you're getting voted for that many times, people are coming after you, and so you have nothing to lose. So you're gonna do whatever you can. Like it doesn't matter. You because you're gonna go if you don't do everything that you can.
Oh yeah, and he was just so composed. Like every time, like there was so much chaos in the season, from fake idols to just everything that happened. He was always such a composed guy. I'm like, are you ever like flustered any time? Like, I wish I was more composed. And as a freshman too, Jesus Christ, that man's good. So yeah, moving forward into, I guess, the final 3 challenge, we have the quotes challenge. Which I thought was a very interesting play on the displaying someone's social game, and if they are able to extract what they would say when they got voted out, different situations, as well as type of words they would say if they talk to them throughout the game. What do you guys think of this challenge and how it proceeded?
I really liked the challenge because I'd close my eyes to predict if I could guess it too, based off of what I've seen this season. And some of them were very obvious and some weren't. So I think that was like a good telltale of the connection that they formed with other people in the game.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like how Addie was talking about in her speech. Like, she played a much more perceptive game than people realized, and like that challenge showed that. Like, I don't know how, I mean, I guess she could have used that as an answer of like proof of like how she knew what was going on. Like, hey, I got 14 out of the 16 of these right. Like, I clearly had some idea of who you people were and what you were doing all game. Because to them, like, they just didn't see anything. I mean, I still had a hard time seeing parts of her game through the edit, but I believe that she was doing things. So, I mean, I think that really was like Addie's moment to like talk about that challenge specifically. Yeah, because she definitely was way more perceptive than the other two. So, and like she like right away, at least in the videos. So
I'm curious which 2 she got wrong, actually, because I if I had to bet on it, I bet it was like earlier on in the game, like people that she didn't really like, wasn't on a tribe with, didn't have a lot of talks with or anything. I bet that's what it was.
I think I might have that answer for you. And I'm pretty sure one of them was Summers, because Summers was like,
oh, interesting. Okay.
It was very close to Geneva's in like the end of the game, and one of them was like, I forget the other one. One of them was like switching up Andrew or something. I forget. But they had the challenge was way too long to fit it all, but they had a chance to fix their answers in the end. I don't think Addie fixed any of hers. She just went with it. And it wouldn't have made a difference either. I think Austin had 12 and Derek had 11 and Addie had 14. But yeah, she makes
I love challenges like this. At the very end of the game, it's shows how much you've been paying attention, but also how much you've been involved, because you have to know someone's character to figure out what they're saying. You have to know their story to understand like the events they're recalling, because those are very vague most of the time. Like, all of those quotes didn't have like names in them. So it's really, you have to know your people, which means you have to engage your people. And I think that's a huge part of the game that Eddie maybe didn't get as much credit as she deserved for. I think she definitely played a better game in the very end reflects, and I like that she was able to show that in this challenge, and definitely should have used it as more of a final tribal piece. Should have talked about how she knew what was happening even if people didn't want her to. I think that shows skill.
Fair enough. So yeah, so we move on to, I guess we'll talk about rights later once Derek and Mike are both in here. But we move on to the tribal council, and they realize we did this on purpose, that we tell them the actual results of the challenge at the tribal council, where they both make their speeches to Addie, and Addie makes the decision because she won the challenge. What do you think about how this all played out? And I think Derek's response to this was actually pretty good, minus maybe the bald piece, but I would have loved to see it. But I think his response was really good, and his pitch was actually very good. But what do you guys think? Do you think Addie made the right choice? I mean, that's a pretty important point right now, but
I think she would have lost either way,
Mhm.
to be honest. And I think it might have been unanimous for Derek had he had gone with her. So I think honestly she was kind of in a lose-lose situation. So I don't think it really mattered. And she
how bad she wanted to lose, basically.
she chose based on what made sense for her personally, which I respect,
Mhm.
and not turning on Austin. So I respected that.
I do too.
I think Derek gave a great speech, and I felt like Derek and Addie had a better relationship throughout the entire game. And like Derek admitted his lie that happened later in the game, but I really thought Addie would have like forgiven him for that, since Addie and Austin, yeah, they were in that alliance of 5 or 6 for a while, but I didn't feel like they had a really close connection. So I kind of wish Addie would have gave Derek like another chance, because they were in it for the long term.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was actually very up in the air about this one while it was happening. While Derek was talking, I was remembering Addie always saying in her confessionals, "What has Derek done?" And I thought that would have been enough, especially with the pitch that he had that he fumbled the bag last tribal. I thought that could have been enough where she picked Derek because Austin was such on a hot streak. But I don't know.
I think she
definitely went back and forth, because like I at the beginning of it, when you announced that she won the challenge, I could see it in her face that she could not wait to write down Derek's name, and I think I said it in the chat. But as soon as Derek started talking, I was like, okay, like I was like, he's kind of doing okay, like trying to pitch to her to stay, but I mean, obviously it wasn't enough.
Yeah. So before I let him in here, I want to give some praise to him. But what did you guys think of Derek as a player this entire game? The man who almost went out week 1. I'm pretty sure his grave was already dug up for him. And then just a slight twist by Hannah and Addie just saved the saving grace pretty much. What do you guys think of his entire journey?
I liked Derek.
My bad.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
yeah, Ethan,
my computer is having a. Okay, we were talking about Addie's decision to bring Austin over Derek. I think Derek made as good a speech as he could. I was actually really impressed with the points he brought up, and he almost had me convinced, but it was obvious Addie's mind should have been made up, and I think was made up before she even arrived. The right person to bring to the end was Austin, because the jury had said repeatedly that Derek is going to win. And I think it also was a good storyline for her to bring Austin, like, Austin worked with me at the end when I needed him, and I will reward him for coming to me when I needed him, when other people turned against me and left me out of stuff and weren't helping me. So on all fronts, I think she did the right thing. It didn't end up mattering, obviously, and I think she probably knew that beforehand too, anyways.
Mm-hmm. So what do we think of Derek as a player?
I think Derek played a good game. I wasn't a fan of his move at like one of the last tribals where he and Mike were trying to do that fake advantage. I don't think that was a smart game move. But overall, that probably was one of his flaws. And then at the very beginning. But otherwise, I think he played a solid game, formed good relationships, especially with Mike.
Mm-hmm. Nick, you were a big fan of Derek the entire game.
Oh yeah, I was. I definitely liked him episode 1. I think I mentioned that I liked him last time I was on in the game that he was playing, because I think what I said was, I mean, he almost had gone week 1 and then like played a little bit low key like shortly after that before he decided to like pick it up again. And I think that worked out very well for him. And I have to agree with Brenda. I think that move of them trying to like say that there was a fake advantage. That's who did that in Real Survivor? Tony with the
with his super
idol. Yeah, super idol. Very Tony move. But it was kind of dumb. And obviously Addie was like it was obviously like not real. I think they were just grasping at straws to save Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I loved Derek. And yeah, going from first boot almost to then finishing as the final juror says a lot. I think he played a really good game. I like people who prove me wrong. Because at the beginning of this game, I was like, Derek, yeah, he escaped this vote. I don't think he's going to make it much further. I just feel like he's like a big stressy doofus. And he kind of was the whole time, but he was an endearing stressy doofus. So he made friends and like made connections out of that. So he could continue to be stressed, but then use like his connections to actually play the game. I thought he played very, very well. I would love if he could come back because I think the story he told can be improved upon. I think he learned from his game and would start better, and people would then have to deal with Derek as a real threat from the beginning, which I think would be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I was gonna make the exact same comment about Derek being super stressy, and that's why I kind of liked him. I related to that. Like when I play Survivor, I feel like I get stressed for like no reason, even when I'm like fine. So I related to that very much the entire season. Just like his completely wacky confessionals where he's just like off the charts,
Not the bathroom ones.
Yeah,
there it goes.
I really think he could have pulled out the win had he just won that challenge. Like it would have been his. So it sucks for him because he was so close coming from like the bottom from that one move week one that saved his game and then all the way here. So rip.
Yeah. I would like to give a shout out to Derek for that one challenge that he was in where you had to go in the house and like grab things in your surrounding area. He nailed that challenge. I know he was like in his dorm or in his apartment, so like a smaller space, but like he killed that challenge. I mean, Mike would be going up the stairs every time. Derek was like, I have it, guys. I have it.
Mike in his basement was tragic.
Yeah.
He was just like, I gotta go up 3 flights of stairs to get anything.
I love, like, personally, I love Derek. He's one of my good friends here on campus. We have the same major, even though we have a different emphasis. But this kid, he came in, or man, I should say, because he's almost balding, and that's the inside joke there. This man came in, no experience whatsoever with Survivor anything. Almost was the first vote. He shows up to jeans to every single challenge in the freezing cold weather. He kills them, and he just manages to just get on by slowly, and everyone loves him. Everyone respects him. Just a good guy all around. I mean, let's add him in. There he is.
Yeah, you guys are really gassing me up here. I don't know what to think. I'm like blushing.
It's deserved.
Derek, you know I love you. You know I love the third place finishers, the Sean DePazes, the Derek Rosens of the world. Just tell me what was going through your week that entire, like, from Mike getting tied to you lying to Addie to you almost being there but Addie picking Austin over you. What was going through your head?
Yeah, that was quite the week. So first of all, just to say this right off the bat, I regret doing what we did to Addie, lying to her and doing the fake idol scheme. Looking back, it was really messy, and it negatively impacted me as a result. I think my attitude at the time was there's kind of two alternatives. I could either be straight up with Addie and just be like, listen, I'm voting with Mike no matter what. You could either hop on the train or you could be on the other side. And I didn't want to put her in that position, which is why we lied to her in the first place. So when I said that I did it to protect her, I wasn't lying about that. I was literally doing it to protect her because I did not want to put her in that position. Ultimately, it backfired on me, but that's something that I can't fix. And then when Mike and Austin, you can't see this because Luke turned off our cameras, but we were watching while Mike and Austin were doing that tiebreaker challenge. And I swear to you, like, I think my neighbors must have thought that like I was having a fist fight because I was just like running around the room being like, no, oh yes, Mike, and just like punching walls, stuff like that. And you see kind of the aftermath of that when Luca turns our cameras back on, but I was pretty devastated. After that, I kind of knew that I either had to win the last challenge or I was going home. So I knew what the deal was. I will say I was probably playing a little selfishly at the time. Mike even texted me when we were placing our votes that we should have voted for Addie. And I think you guys even said it yourself. I think if Addie and I were in that challenge, we wouldn't have been nearly as good as Mike or Austin. So I personally think Mike would have beaten Addy in that situation. And even though that wouldn't have been my home run scenario, I think it would have been safer than the scenario that I ended up in. And I think that's my fault. I played a little selfishly there. So, yeah.
It's good to play selfish at Final Four. You should definitely be thinking about yourself at Final Four. I don't fault you for that. It didn't pan out, obviously, but no, don't beat yourself up for caring about you, especially that late.
Still a king, though. I mean, I want to ask you, like, did you imagine to go as far as you did, being almost just by the skin of your teeth, being saved at the in the first vote?
No. I don't think anybody truly realizes the pace of the game going into it. But from week one, like people were like talking strategy, and like when you don't know the game, you're kind of like, yeah, okay, I agree. You know, because like you don't really know what they're talking about. People are already talking about like tribals, and people are talking about like final fives, and I'm just like, yeah, let's do it. I'm down. So never thought I would have made it that far. Making it all the way to Final Three was honestly just I said it in the end there, but highlight one of the highlights of my college career. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So yeah.
Man. Talk to me a little bit about you and Mike's relationship throughout it all. I mean, it came as kind of oh, Sean wasn't there, so I might as well just pick Derek. But then you guys, like, to our eyes on the production side, you guys were kind of like the two top dogs the entire post merge, with Geneva like being the big spotlight. But you guys were pretty much on top. Everyone was rooting for you guys. What was that entire experience playing the game with Mike and having that solid duo?
You know, it's really funny because that whole relationship started by accident. He was sitting in the cafeteria one day, and I just so happened to be in the cafeteria, and I walked over to him, and I started telling him, I'm like, listen, Mike, I shouldn't tell you this, but I found an idol last night. Me and Hannah went idol hunting, and I found an idol. And he was like, I don't know if I should be telling you this, but the idol was already found. And from that conversation, that's how we kind of figured out how Hannah had led me to a fake idol. And then just from there, like, for some reason, he chose me at the transition tribe. I believe it was stemming from that conversation. And kind of as I said, I think I said at some point in the show, but Mike and I like never looked at each other and we were like, you're my number one, final two, like you're my ally. We just kind of kept on going. Like, and it worked really well. We trusted each other like 100%. You know, it ultimately ended up in our favor, but like we were never this like duo in our mind who was like, yeah, this is the two, this is what we're doing. It just kind of worked out that way, and I'm really glad that it did.
That's amazing. You heard it here first. Hannah determined a great duo in this game. Still making effects.
The ripples never end.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Bring her back.
Impact.
it's insane. Looking back on it, Derek, do you have like? I mean, there's the Final Four, yes, but do you have anything else that you would regret or would change about the way you played in season 2?
I'm gonna get deep with you for a second, so excuse me for getting deep, but I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make in this game, me included, is you look too far into the future. You don't realize how much fun you're having, how like an amazing experience you're having while you're doing it. Like when are you going to balance a Gatorade bottle against like 6 other teenagers again, like in a competitive challenge? When are you going to like run through the snow, like carrying like rocks ever again? And a lot of times we're looking so far ahead in the game that like we forget what we're doing is really special. And looking back, I'm like, man, sometimes I really wish that I could just like stop for a second and just like realize where I am and just kind of enjoy the moment. And that's what I'd recommend to any player in the future too.
Oh, absolutely poetic. Jesus. Better than anything I've said in 2 seasons. Holy crap.
Thank you.
My God, if you weren't a senior already, I would have asked you to host. Oh my God. I mean, do you guys have any questions for Derek?
Oh God.
I guess I have one. Did you pre like Addy choosing Austin, like before that speech? I mean, you talked a little bit in your confessional, but did you have like a real like Hail Mary to try to, get Addy to flip flop on that vote? Like, do you think there was anything you could have done to get her to vote him out, or was it just completely set?
I think it was mostly completely set, but another approach that I could have taken, and I don't think that this was on camera a lot, but we all know that Addie was going to vote me in Final Five. Like she was confirmed until that whole summer debacle happened. I should have gone home Final Five, but Addie changed her mind, but she was going to vote me. And the day after that happened, she called me and she was like, "Derek, I need to come clean. I was going to vote you out this week. I was going to vote you out, and I'm really sorry for that." And I forgave her for that. Not only that, she never told me that she had an idol. Kept that information from me. So another approach that I could have gone with, like, hey, you're right. I lied to you. I messed up. But you lied to me too. You were going to vote me out. You never told me about the idol. So really talking about honesty here. Can you truly look at yourself and say that you've been honest to me? So if I was able to forgive you for going to vote me out, can you forgive me for doing the same? So, yeah.
Amazing.
Interesting.
Greatly said.
So I'm wondering for you, Derek. So Luke mentioned that you had very little or like no Survivor experience coming in. So when did you feel like at some point during this game you knew what you were doing, or did you feel like you were still just like learning it on the fly? Is there a point where you're like, yeah, I'm in Survivor, I know what I should do in this spot?
He still doesn't. I'm kidding.
That's
possible.
You're not wrong. I definitely don't think I've learned everything there is to learn. So I'll say that. But I definitely think the moment I truly knew that I was doing something right was when Mike picked me for the transition tribe. I couldn't necessarily pinpoint what it was, but the fact that he chose me over like 12 or any other amount of people that were there, I knew at that point that I was not necessarily doing something right strategically, but definitely doing something right socially. So at that point, I kind of felt a little power,
That's a great answer too. Writing that one down.
I want to ask a question that kind of bounces off of Ethan's question. So obviously you went in not really knowing much about Survivor, but having played now, significantly more. Knowing what you know now, same cast, what strategy would you go in with? Like what would you do differently going into the exact same season?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think the best answer for that is that I would actually make more of an effort to hang out with people outside the game. Looking back, if I had just gone to that Chipotle after the first challenge, it would have been a lot easier time for me. I think people sometimes undervalue, like some people seem to think that this is only like a game where you're on during like the hours of the challenge in tribal, and then outside of that, you're just like, okay, it's no longer the game. That's not how it works.
Right.
I'd definitely say I would be more social, especially outside of the game. So, yeah.
Love it, Derek. Well, you are staying on to the chat, don't get me wrong, but it was a great pleasure having you just around the entire season, and your jeans and your balding hair. And I wish we could have seen the bald Derek or with a nice
I would have loved like a little Addy carved into your head. That would have been so good.
I didn't think that would work, but again, I thought I was doomed at this point. So I was like, why not give her just a little something between the pot? I think everybody kind of wants to see that, So maybe if me saying that wouldn't like get her to believe me, maybe everybody low key in the chat would be like, do it. We want to see Derek with Addy in his head, So you never know.
Oh, that would have been something. But thank you, Derek, man. Like, honestly, bottom of my heart, thank you for signing up, and just amazing getting to know you throughout this game.
Yeah, and thanks to all you guys, and thanks to the crew. I don't think you guys get enough recognition for all that you guys do. You guys put more hours into this than the players do, so thank you to you as well.
Thank you, King. But be sure to stay on because we're bringing your partner in crime in now. Oh, wait, what? The studio is limited to 6 people per screen? No way.
Oh,
that's a thing?
Wow.
Oof.
Well, Derek,
I'm not prepared for that.
I hate to say this, but
voted out again. Yeah.
Getting Fareed out of this. That's what it is.
Still communicate through the chat, and I'll put your comments up. But thank you again. Good luck with everything.
Thanks for coming, Derek. You're great. Big
Thank
fan.
you. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Peace. Man, they really make you pay for these upgrades? Holy crap. Anyways, Mike, welcome in.
What's up? How's it going? I'm also so sorry I'm late. So sorry I'm late. I had a bunch of other stuff going on. I'm moving into school tomorrow, so
No, you're totally fine.
I messed up the order a little bit, so my fault on that.
You're totally fine. Oh man, Mike, you know I love you. That's just everything. We were all cheering for you. Valentina was mad at you because you didn't get her question right. Talk to me about that entire thing and just being matched up with big brain Austin Murphy. And just
I knew, like, going into that challenge, like, you heard Derek say it, I texted him, like, should we do Addie? Like, I knew Austin would be the hardest person to go against in that challenge, and my heart was pounding the entire time. Like, it was like flashing lights a little bit, like I was getting dizzy because it was like that kind of intense kind of pressure because we kept going back and forth. And if I ever gained something on him, he won it right back. And if he ever gained something on me, I won it right back. It was just the most intense thing. And then going to that tiebreaker and then going to another tiebreaker. And then I was like, so for that final, like, determining question, I was so, like, I don't know what the word is. Not energized, like anxious. I was so anxious with it that I was just like, I want this to end so bad. And I put in a number and it was way off. It was so far off. It was like in the 900s and the answer was 2,000 something.
Exactly what I would have done. Literally the same, like, math out of question. Not a chance for me.
Luke would just hit his keyboard and be like, those are the numbers.
Yeah.
I would have been better off doing that, honestly.
Oh man. Apparently Derek was stressing for you the entire time.
I wish I could have seen that.
But Mike, talk to me about your game, because you had a very interesting come up. I mean, in the beginning you were with Aaron and all that, and then Eric and Austin kind of got torn to the side when you got left out of that vote.
Keep going, my bad.
And then ever since then, you just kind of like chose your battles and you made the right moves by like taking out Eli or like talking to Austin or doing all that, and then you stabilized yourself as one of the top contenders throughout the season. Just talk to me about your entire experience.
Well, at the start of my game, a big thing with Survivor is that when people have you figured out or they think they have you figured out, they're a lot less worried about you. So I wanted to come off as kind of like just a dumb kid, like a dumb sporty kid. And I watched Hannah's Murderboard vlog, and I was kind of proud when I heard her say that, oh, people keep telling me that Mike is just a dumb kid. And I was like, I felt good about that because like I kind of wanted people to think I was dumb from the start. Some moments organically dumb, I'll be honest. But that was my goal from the start, and obviously just establish the social relationships. Austin and Erica were my tight three from the beginning. We lived close together. We were in the same building complex, so it was easier to see each other. We would see each other in the dining halls a lot. So they were my beginning part, and then Derek was really my next step in the game. And that was the week where Erica found the idol at the Mount with everyone, and I was getting stitches at the time. And everyone tells me, like, oh, so basically everyone knows about the idol except Derek. And Derek, who just came off of being blindsided a couple weeks ago, he was just giving himself up. He was like, I want to be loyal. I want to play this game. Just someone please work with me. So what really helped is that I wanted to talk to him about that idol, and we happened to see each other that day. And he just mentions to me that Hannah took him idol hunting. And I was like, and he said he found something. I was like, that told me about Hannah hiding fake idols, which helped me find out that I had a fake idol too. So that really started my whole relationship with Derek. And then I picked him at the transitional tribe, one, because I wanted his double idol benefits. I wanted him to be willing to use it on me. And two, just because I wanted to become stronger with Derek, because Derek was someone who, in the moment when he was saying he was vulnerable, that he wanted to be honest with someone. And I was like, let me take this leap with this guy. And Derek was downright so genuine, honest the whole time.
Amazing. Oh, whew, that entire your entire story, especially with Derek and just moving from place to place, was absolutely just great to watch. Talk to me a little bit about that final four vote where you and Derek kind of. Well, you first pull out the fake advantage. Which,
so the fake advantage, I'll explain that. I did do that. The one college Survivor season I watched to prepare for this was Michigan season 2. And I believe it was Sarah X who at Final Four played out or made a fake advantage, and it ended up worked for one person, not for the other person. And I was like, I got inspiration from that. I was like, that week going into it, I knew I just needed one vote. And if I stuck and voted with whoever Derek was voting for, I would at least have that vote so I could bring myself to a tiebreaker. So I was like, if I can pull something to get another vote, I'm for it. I'm not too worried about Derek breaking. I explained all my plans to Derek before. I was like, this is what I would want to do with it. Derek wanted to take the reins that week, and he told me, like, I have the liberty to vote you out if I want to. And I was like, you got it, Derek. He was the one that was able to really play his game that week because he properly tied my hands. And I think he did it. It was very good of him to do that because I was at his mercy and he used me the way he wanted to use me.
Fair enough. I mean, looking back on it, I mean, just to say a point, in Survivor Anarchy, which I played with Nick, Brenda, and Organically Dumb, I pulled out a fake advantage at Final Four as well, and it was completely a mess. It was so bad.
It was so.
It's entertaining.
It's fun. It's for the content. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
But looking back on your game, is there anything that you would have done differently in this?
There's not a lot I would have done differently. I've replayed 6-4 in my head all the time. I don't regret the move on Geneva because I had a lot of fun doing it, and I was in the moment that week, and I had such a blast just like being able to play Cutthroat Survivor. Going into my options, I was either like, we take out Summer and I go in with these 5, and then there's a possibility there would be 3 immunities, and if Derek wins that, it's me versus Geneva. And while I did have Addie at the time, I did not have as close of a Geneva. I don't take any pleasure in any hurt I cause, but I do take pleasure in just the move in general. It's the gamer in me. I always, like, in the game, I'm so emotionally closed off. I just separate myself completely from that. And honestly, it's a weaker part of my game because it does kind of prevent me from making closer personal connections with people. But just as I would do that to everyone, I would never take anything personally either. I feel like a move's a move. So I always I enjoy playing that way. So that's how I play.
Mm-hmm. Oh, amazing. Any of you guys have any questions for Mike?
I don't have a question. I more have like a comparison. Your game to me is a lot like JT. You sort of play like a hero role most of the time. You're good at challenges. People like you. Even when you made these like cutthroat moves, like against Geneva, no one was holding it against you. Like there were other people that they were mad at, and it wasn't you. And I really felt like you had just this like not overbearing, but very dominant game the entire way, and everyone just sort of looked on you positively. I don't have many critiques for you. Most of this finale, I'm very impressed with all the people. I don't have a lot of like things to point out. I thought you played very well. You went into a triple tiebreaker setting. Like, what the hell are you supposed? Sorry, you didn't have the hours on the back of your hand. I loved what you did. I thought you were like JT, so I hope that makes you happy that I compared you to him.
Thank you. And it actually does. Tokensheens was my first season of Survivor ever, and JT is my favorite winner because of how good of a game he played that season. Fell in love with him as a player. I will defend his hero villains move. I think it was a big risk, big reward. It wasn't. It obviously wasn't smart, but he didn't know who Russell was. He came from Samoa. Like the filming, I think, lined up where they didn't get to watch Samoa. So.
Right. There was only a few weeks afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't defend it to the grave, but I'll defend it pretty hard sometimes.
Amazing. Anyone else?
I think Ethan said it all, really.
Yeah. I agree with Ethan. You just played a really good game, and I have nothing really to say.
You played a really good game and did something most people can't, which is have someone willing to give them a tie. If I were Derek, I would have voted you out because I don't want to give you a second chance to beat me in the end. So
Well,
you managed to play
like Derek. Just vote Mike out.
Yeah. You played that good a game and then still had someone willing to take you to the end. That says a lot. I think. Congrats to you.
Yeah, I was surprised that Derek did that. I was shocked, really. So that's a big move on your end.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, Mike,
Yeah, you can't play dumb though now. People know you're smart. You can't do it anymore.
paranoia is just a mask.
Yeah, we'll say. Oh, paranoia. There's plenty of paranoia left in me still.
Let's just say
Daddy. Me, like those are my two closest, I'd say, post merge and stuff, and we would bounce off each other so much with the paranoia. It was insane. Like I would be texting Addie, and I'd just be like, "Wait, but do you think Ginny was gonna turn us?" And then in two seconds later, we'd be like, "Do you think Derek's gonna turn on us at all?" And then it would just go back and forth, and it'd be stupid paranoias. But it's just like we would talk them through, and then we would eventually get to a point.
Mm-hmm. And let's just say, I want to put this out there because Mike knows. I always tease him about this, but his vlogs are literally 20 minutes long, and there's only like a golden nugget in there that actually makes sense. He rambles on, and I'm just trying to find it, and it's just like, where is he going with this conversation? He would literally.
My vlogs are just like my tribal answers. I know I don't have good tribal answers. I just try and not reveal anything.
Yeah, but only as a sophomore. No, as a freshman, you came in very strong, and you're
still showings.
Oh yeah,
I was impressed.
And you'll still be around, and I'm happy to have you around. He's been a great presence on the e-board after his season, and you'll be seeing a lot more of Mike for sure, basically in production and all that. But yeah, Mike, you have any final words?
I do actually. Thank you to production. Thank you to all of you for featuring on the after shows all the time, because I enjoy watching the after shows a lot, and hearing your critiques and compliments are always fun to hear. It helps me improve my game in the future with anything. I hope I get on the real show on time. I plan on applying after college. My parents told me I can only do it after college. So we'll see with that. And then also, I want to shout out the YouTube commenters, because they're always commenting, and I do get a lot of joy from reading those too. So like Jacob K, who's always in the live chat, and James Chin, and this kid JJ with the Yankees profile picture I remember, and this other commenter AAM. Like I love reading your input, especially on the first part of the finale. They had like a whole discussion about it. It was awesome.
Love it. This is why I love Mike. Oh, amazing. Well, Mike, you're a pleasure to be on the season. Pleasure getting to know you. Actually, Paul Levine referred Mike. So shout out to
Paul was my RA. That's how I found out about this club.
Yep. Shout out to him.
It's always RAs. They find them.
It's true. It's true. But great player, great everything. Reminds me of myself in a way. It was a pleasure getting to know you. And I hope.
A pleasure to play. This was a dream come true for a young teenage Mike.
All right, Mike. You have a good night.
Thank you. All you too.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
All right. So that was Mike and Derek. Great exits at Final Four and Final Three. Amazing cast. Let me just insert it right now. Amazing cast, top to bottom. Literally from the first vote. Aaron was a big player. Aaron was a big strategist. And like everyone had a chance, in my opinion, if we were to do the season again. No one didn't try. That's what I loved about this cast. Like maybe people tried too hard, but no one didn't try, which is something that from a cast that's hard to get sometimes. And I loved it. The footage was there, and it showed in the edit. It showed throughout the game. But getting down to our final two, Addie versus Austin. What did your guys think of this final tribal council and the whole entire and how it played out?
I think Addie's performance was kind of like part of it was, I'm not saying it was perfect, but a lot of it was exactly what she should be saying. Like I thought her answer to Geneva's question was excellent. I always like when she voted Geneva off, that left a very like sour taste in my mouth. I was just like, why did she do that? And especially hearing like Geneva's commentary on the game, like I was just very perplexed on why Addie voted Geneva out. But hearing Addie's perspective, it made it a lot more. It made a lot more sense. I don't know if it was necessarily the right move per se, but there was justification behind the move. Whereas before, when I was just watching it, I was like, this has no real merit. I don't know why she would do that. But she made a fair point. Like bringing Geneva any further, that's a bigger risk than bringing Summer, because Geneva is quite the strategic threat. So, and honestly, could have won any of those challenges. So, I think that now looking back on it, like probably a really good move for her and set up her game really well. It sucks for her that the jury didn't respect her game. I really was. I didn't love watching Erica's speech in particular. I just felt like that was like really like uncalled for and bitter for no reason almost. But Austin again had said exactly what he needed to say, and I mean I was rooting for Austin the whole way anyway. So yeah, I thought he had a really strong performance there as well.
Yeah. Well, probably fault in my question. We'll keep it to just Addie because Addie's in the chat right now, but we'll talk about Austin later. But talk to me about, I guess for Nick, Brenda, and Ethan, talk to me about Addie's performance in the final tribal because she, like Shane said, she put up a good case. She was with the vote with Aaron. She was with the vote with Noah. She determined a lot of these votes with Austin, with Jack, with all of that, and with Geneva's vote, which is probably one of the biggest. What do you guys think on her performance?
I think prior to that final tribal council, she was the one who set herself up to get to that final two. Like she, with the Geneva vote, she was pretty much almost guaranteed at that point to, even if she was just going to get taken there, to get there in the first place, which I think is respectable. But I agree. I think she played it as well as she could have, better than I honestly expected her to play it. Geneva came at her with some hard questions that she needed to answer, and I think she answered them really well. And obviously, I feel like there's always one or two bitter people in a jury that sometimes you have to deal with, but that's to be expected. And I think that she handled it with like grace. So I respect that. I respect it a lot.
For sure.
Yeah, I think Addie brought up some good points about her game in the beginning, because I don't think a lot of people recognize the role that she played in those moves. But I feel like the jury was just kind of viewing the post-merge of her game because they just saw her as an extra vote for that alliance. But I think she did a good job explaining her case. I think she started off her speech though saying, yes, I don't think it was, yes, I was a goat, but like she started off like, yes, I was brought here. But then she like kind of changed what she said throughout the speech. And she's like, well, I did work my way, but like, I can see your point.
Mm-hmm. Ethan?
Yeah, I agree with all of what's been said so far. I think we're all on the same page that Addie did actually play a pretty good game. And her final tribal performance, I think, was as good as she could do with it. I was impressed, genuinely. But thanks, Luke. I think this final tribal was more of a formality than anything. I think pretty much everyone's minds were made up before they showed up. So props to both of them. I know we'll talk about Austin more later. They both had good performances, but I don't think they mattered. I don't think a single vote was won or lost through the speeches and questioning, which is sometimes just how it goes. Sometimes it does matter, but not in this case.
Disappointing, and that's the way that it was, because I feel like as somebody who like is a huge super fan of Survivor, like when I'm watching like seasons and I watch juries that are just like, I've made up my mind, like I feel like that's so annoying. Like hear them out, hear what they have to say, because your perception is not necessarily their reality. So like you got voted out, so obviously there's things that you don't know. So why don't you just listen to them and see if their take on things changes? So a little disappointing to see that they'd already kind of like made up their mind, but that's also like college people and like people that, especially with an alliance of 6 that like tight. I'm not surprised.
True. And think about the edit people. Come on, add some suspense in the air.
Right.
Jesus. Anyway.
I think I have to agree with what Brenda said about you said like she started off with like, yeah, I was taken here, and yeah, I was like, I didn't need like she was seen as the GOAT, and she was claiming that she knew that she was seen as the GOAT, and that's how she played, and then kind of took it back a little. And I understand like where she was trying to go with that. I just don't think she worded it right, which is like obviously like a fault in a final tribal council. Like she needed to get that thought like put together better. But I think what she was like trying to go with was like I meant to be the GOAT, but like I wasn't really the GOAT. Like I meant to be perceived as the GOAT is what she was trying to say. But she made it seem like she was like going back on her word, I feel like. And I agree that she did that a little bit.
Mm. Well, I'm always happy. I always say to Ethan, I'm always happy I didn't make it to final tribal, because I totally would have fucked something up, because I don't know how to speak at all.
I wanted to bring you.
But hey, I got you out when I did. But Addie really shocked me there, and her performance actually really deserved, I think, more votes than just one. But let's bring her in. Welcome,
Hi,
Addie.
everyone.
Hi.
Hi, I agree with everything that you guys said, by the way.
Oh, fabulous. That makes us feel smart.
You were spot on. Like I did mean to. I'm just really bad at wording what I want to say, but yeah, I did mean to say that basically I was playing the GOAT. I was playing into people's egos. I agreed with things they said just because I knew that they would trust me, and I just didn't word that correctly.
So Addie, talk to me a little bit about your game. I mean, it got taken away from the finale episode, but I remember saying to you, like, and seeing it in the episode, you figured out like who you work best with, and I think that's a big thing that you took away from it. Talk to me a bit about your journey from ever since the first vote, where you pretty much turned that entire vote to the end.
So the first vote, I was just desperate, and like I knew that there was this alliance, this big alliance, and I wasn't part of it, and so I was just trying to think of how I can be aligned with somebody on that side. And Hannah at that point was reaching out to everyone. Hi, Derek. Oh my gosh, Derek reached out to me, and he was so sweet. He was like, I'm so sorry that I lied to you. And honestly, I didn't take that personally. I respected the game move. I would have done the same thing, so I can't even blame you, Derek. Anyways, going back to what I was saying, so I trusted Hannah just because she reached out to me, and that seemed like my best bet, even though I wasn't in alliance with Aaron. I saw his little thing here, and I'm sorry, Aaron. I just, I saw you were working with so many people, and I couldn't tell if I trusted you, because you had alliances going with a lot of people, and you were my number one at that point. And to think that your number one could be number one with everyone else, like that's scary. So I just did what was best for my game, and I hope you can understand that.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that whole entire Final Four, where you decide to, maybe you can even start at the 6 with Geneva, but you decide to join Austin and tie it up between Mike and Austin, and basically willing yourself on that side. What was your decision making then?
That was a crazy week, crazy. And especially that day, because everything basically happened at the final hour. I was still undecided on what I was going to do until I was like, listen, I need to know who lied. And thank God Derek confessed, because I don't know if I would have chosen Austin, to be honest. If I hadn't known the truth, I was really close with Mike and Derek, and I think I had a final 2 with Mike. I don't think I had a final 2 with Derek. And so I trusted that a little more than with Austin, just because Austin was aligned with the other side. I don't know. Throughout the season, I wasn't really sure if I could trust him. So I was like, okay, I've been working with Mike this whole time, and so why not just continue? And thank God that Derek said that they were lying.
Mm-hmm. Just to point out a few comments, Valentina, friend, glowing. Shout out to Valentina.
Miss you.
Making a cameo in this episode with Mitch. Jacob K, I think Addie played a strong game.
Jacob.
And Derek. Well, now I kind of regret it. Well, was there any like part in the final three that almost made you side with Derek because Austin had such a good showing in the tiebreaker, or were you like pretty much set on Austin?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I really this whole game is about perspective, and I did not. Like, obviously, watching it back, I know how strong of a player Austin is, but I seriously doubted him the whole time. And I was like, okay, Austin didn't really do anything. Like, I didn't realize he was scheming every week. So, yeah, it was interesting to watch it back. I don't think I would have chosen Derek just because, I had the people in the 5 telling me like they're going to vote for Derek no matter what. I don't care what kind of game we play, we're voting for him. And so I didn't really want to take that chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Addie, you, in my opinion, well, I can't even speak. See, here we go. As I didn't say anything. As Jacob put it best, you did play a strong game. You were very under the radar in my eyes. You were a part of every vote pretty much from the post-merge on, but you never were like, what is it? People never pegged you as the person that was responsible for said vote. Even though you were in all of the talks, you were very influential in all of those talks. Mm-hmm. I guess looking back on it, is there anything that you would have done differently to be more of a presence, I should say?
So I just think the reason a lot of the 5 got out was because they were so vocal with the things they were doing. They were saying like, I did this. I knew from the beginning that's not the game I wanted to play. I told you during the interview that I wanted to kind of play dumb and just make people think that I didn't really know what was going on. And I think I did that a little too well because obviously it bit me in the ass at the end. But yeah, I don't think I didn't want to play the game where I was just voicing, how strong of a player I am and all the moves that I made, because, that's partly why I voted for Geneva, because she was saying everyone knew she was a good player, and that's scary. And you don't really want to I don't think you should let people realize how strong of a player you are.
I don't know. Do you guys have any questions for Addie?
Yeah, I have one. So you just said that you didn't realize how much of a scheming player Austin was, which is interesting because he played loyalty, honesty card, and he definitely was scheming. So was there any point in the game that you kind of realized that Austin was doing more, or was it that the entire time?
So I think I would probably have to say I don't know, because it's kind of hard because I knew he was smart. I just didn't realize to the extent of which he was planning every single bit of what was going to happen. I did not realize that was going on, and obviously that was in the vlogs that he was doing that. So I would say no, there was not a point, and that's on me for not, I'm so sorry for that sound. That's on me for not realizing, and that's why I came in second place.
Oh. Anyone else?
I think you played a really oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, in a perfect world, who would you have taken to the final 2 instead? Anyone on the cast?
Definitely Derek, because he was my favorite.
Oh, okay.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I love that.
I think you played genuinely strategically, I think you played a really good game. Minimizing your threat level is an underrated thing, and it's hard to reward that at the end. It's hard. People can understand hey, you tried to avoid being the target so that you could get to the end, but they don't normally that's hard for people to respect and vote for. which I think is underrated. So props to you for doing that, and I think you did it very effectively. I think you weren't able to garner enough respect at the end, partially because of that, and maybe because you rubbed people the wrong way beforehand as well.
Yeah.
So I think genuinely, I don't have again, I think people played really well in this game. I don't have a lot of critique for you. I think it's just a matter of recognizing where other people's heads are at in respect to the jury and as well as your general perception. Because I think you have the skills to play again and do really well wherever you decide to do that. And I think it would be fun, 'cause I think
The goal is Big Brother.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you do amazing on Big Brother. I think you were really fun. I think it was a couple things didn't go your way with how you were perceived in the game, and it's hard things to course correct from. But I think you've learned from it too. So I mostly just have applause to you as well. I think you played a great game. A bitter second, but a deserving making it to the end.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I agree with Ethan. I was just gonna say it's funny, people's perception of you, I think, started out with that text, which, I'm gonna be honest, I thought was kind of brilliant. Maybe it's the evil player in me. I was kind of dang, she's got some balls for doing that. But I don't know what happened there with, I guess people got sketched out by that. But if you're able to pull that off, that's brilliant. So hats off to you for that too, even though it was maybe not the smartest decision in hindsight.
Yeah, it definitely was a point in my game where things kind of went a little sideways, but I honestly, like I said, I don't really regret it. I just thought, it was a little toxic the whole environment was a little toxic, and I wanted to I didn't understand why that was happening. We were all playing a game. We were all part of a club. There's no need for this hostility. And that's all I have to say about that.
Oh yeah, no, fair enough. It was very tough. And the one thing I said it after the rites of passage, but I talked way too much and it didn't make sense. But you stuck with your guns this entire game. You stuck to who you were, and that's what the biggest respect that I have for you. You stuck with that. I'm who I am. I'm me, and if you don't like it, that's fine. I think that's the biggest thing. You and Valentina share that both, to be honest. I think that's the biggest thing. And I'm glad you were a part of this game, and I'm glad you took away the things that you took away from this game and playing it. And who knows? Maybe you'll find yourself on another season or a big brother type Survivor. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But
yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I am really happy that I played. It was very hectic throughout the whole thing, but I don't think I would change a thing. I had so much fun, and I'm glad. Yeah, like you were saying, that speech at the end, unnecessary, but I did meet some amazing people, and I wouldn't take it back. So
amazing. Well, thank you, Addie, and good luck with everything.
Thank you. You guys as well. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Well, there's Addie. Great player, great person. I wish her the best of luck. But with the last person we talk about, Austin Murphy, 40 chess. Austin Murphy, big brain, never flustered. Gummy vitamins. No one knows what that means, but he'll talk about it. I love this kid. He's a better version of myself. I wish I could be this kid. It's just he's so smart, and he's
the biggest fangirl of this entire Final Four.
It's literal though. This man never gets stressed out or flustered, and it's so amazing. I just am in awe. But yeah, what did you guys think of Austin this entire episode?
He was a dark horse from the beginning. So I think that if you were to look at his game this episode and his game episode 1, you would see two completely different people, I think. But he was always, like you said, he was always level-headed and never really cared. So, well, it cared, but not didn't care enough to stop him from making a big move and stuff like that.
I was was rooting for Austin. Like ever since he was first targeted, I was like, why? Like, why are you targeting him? I just wouldn't have. So the fact that he was able to make it so far and make some really big moves, like he got people to like do things for him. Idols. He saved himself quite a few times, which is always impressive. And then he made it to the end and got taken to the end when he was a huge threat, which is another feat on his part. And I think the things that didn't go his way only benefited him. Like Geneva going home only benefited him because it benefited him in the end with the jury. And he stuck to his guns, so that was like the best thing that could, I mean, maybe unfortunate because he lost an ally, but he played a very consistent game, like he said, and I think it was just solid overall.
I remember saying that with Shane on the live show. We were just like, Austin was the only person left out of this vote, and I think it was the best thing for him. I agree. I think he played really well in every situation that was presented to him, even when it wasn't one that he had designed himself. He reacted well, which is a sign of a really good player. And I enjoyed him. I think he strategically he was very smart. 4D chess, as you've said, Luke. Challenge-wise, he won when he needed to. And socially, you have to play a phenomenal social game to convince people to play idols on you. Because if you're not worth it to them, they'll play it on someone else or try to direct the votes to someone else or do something. If you have to be of value in people's minds, and he managed to do that with, it seemed like everyone. So he did really, really well in this game.
Yeah, honestly, like what Nick said, I didn't really notice his game until post-merge. Because in the beginning, I was like Derek, because Derek somehow made it past that first vote. But yeah, post-merge, Austin did play a good game. He got out of that alliance with the other side and joined the alliance with Geneva and Derek. And I think that was a good move on his part. But he got to know it. He played with everybody in the game. He didn't just stick to that one alliance. And I think having people from like both alliances on the jury is what helped him.
I think the other thing that I think Ethan, or actually it was Addie who brought up, was that people didn't realize that he was like being schemy behind the scenes, which only really benefited him. And the people that did know went to the jury. So that, again, his moves benefited him. And I think the other thing that like people didn't realize about Austin, and we got a privilege of, as a viewer, seeing this firsthand, like in our experience of the season versus theirs is now secondhand, is how good of a speaker he is. I think out of all of the people, besides maybe Geneva would have probably destroyed him in a final tribal council because she's that good of a speaker.
Geneva would have wrote a thesis. Like she would have just. We were robbed of not getting Geneva at final tribal. She would have done so well.
Truly, but Austin was a close second to how he composed himself. I think that his confessionals showed how much of a grasp on his public speaking skills there were, and he did it in Final Tribal too. Like I was very impressed by the way he spoke about his game. Too often in Final Tribal Councils, I see people, and Addie did it a little bit, I see people kind of just recount their game from start to finish, and I literally watched it like a couple months ago of people just recount their game from start to finish, and he gave a very strong overview, which I thought was really, really well done. So I think he, from start to finish, had like the most consistent story arc.
Mm-hmm. Nick, anything? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Sorry, you said my name and I forgot the entire English language there for a second. No, I completely agree. Like I said, he was kind of a dark horse. I agree that Geneva would have talked him in circles. He would have gone home crying because she had 10 pages with an annotated bib ready to go. But he did well. He did everything that he needed to do. I think that it was a deserved win for sure.
Fair enough. Well, personally, just to hype up the guy, where'd he go?
Bring him back.
Geneva said that she had her whole speech written already.
His connection is dropping. Well, so what I loved about Austin this entire game, we casted him as just like big brain. That was I usually just write down like little words. Like Mitch was Ken Dunk, and he made it just because of that one thing. He was just big brain. He talked about like analytics and like statistics, and he's a sports analytics major. And I was like, okay, this is like the big brain that we need. I don't think he'll have a social game. I don't think he'll just be like a robot. But the thing that I loved about Austin is, especially in the final tribal, he listed off the relationships that he had with everyone. And he like really got in there with his social game. And I think that's what propelled him. And that's what ultimately got him to be saved twice by idols, which is like, I don't think a winner has ever used that as a bargaining chip to win, but that's like a very powerful bargaining chip to win, because I mean, you must be needed. You know, if you're needed, like that's huge. The positioning was huge there. His social game was huge there. And the biggest thing is like, of course he wanted to win, but he didn't. It wasn't the end of the world if he didn't win. It was like, I think Ethan was on the post show one of those weeks where he was like, I could win, but I don't really care if I win. Like if any of these other 5 win, I'd be satisfied. And that like interview Austin, I would have never expected him saying that. But this Austin is what like that okay, he's a player. So Austin, let's add you in. Mustache aplenty.
Thank you.
The Soul Survivor Season 2, Survivor Syracuse, a freshman, and he talks that well. Jesus Christ.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Starting this club just makes me realize I'm not as smart as I look. But Austin, talk to me about, I guess, that whole from being left out of Geneva's vote to the end, that entire journey. What was that like for you?
It was a wake-up call, I think, to, like, you were just talking about it, like, that part of me that came in wanting to win and being willing to do whatever it took to win. So I think that, like, reignited that flame and kind of snapped me out of kind of just going along with it, which, like, me going along with it was kind of, like, required for my game, I think, for a little bit, just after getting targeted twice in a row and not having many more things to fall back on. But, you know, when that happened, I kind of realized that I needed to pick up where I left off previously. So initially I wanted to get Summer just for a vote at Final Four. I could keep her past Final 5, get Derek out, you know, and ensure that if I was not immune at Final Four, that she wouldn't write my name down. And then thankfully enough, Addie came along and kind of expressed that same interest into me, and, you know, was honest about her idol, and I told her about mine, and kind of I realized that I just needed Addie. Addie was that missing piece. I needed just to not go home Final Four. So then when she came along and did that, it was all about protecting that relationship, which is why Summer went over Derek. You know, I could have idled out Summer and things would have been really different, but I didn't want to piss off Addie because I knew that, you know, if I had her with me, I'd have a good chance. So then Final Four, the whole time was tiebreak, best case scenario. It was going to be deadlock. I talked to Derek once and I told him straight up in that conversation that there was no situation where I would vote for Addie Final Four. And I was close to breaking that out because I recorded it. I only broke it out for that tribal council when everyone was questioning the truth. But, you know, then we saw what happened in the deadlock, and me and Mike, I mean, there's no other way that I think him and I could have been separated in this game. So from there, it was just me or Addie winning Final 3 and falling back on that relationship, which I had done throughout the game. So it came through and I held my own at the Final 2, and I think I did a good job.
It was amazing. Oh, man. I mean, as a person who was watching it, I want to ask this question. How did it feel? I mean, yeah, I'll say, how did it feel to get an idol played on you twice? I mean, knowing this, like pre-merge Austin, I never really heard him yell or like get excited. He won challenges, but I never see him like really excited than when he was when Jack got voted off and he stood up and yelled. I was like, whoa, who is this kid? But how did it feel?
It felt great, and then it felt even better that it worked. You know, it's one thing to go into those conversations and having to like own up to the part where you have to act to save yourself. You know, you're coming straight out of, you know, tribes and acting in the best interest of people around you so you don't go. But then it gets to a point where you're on your own and every advantage you can get your hands on is just that much more important. So being able to go into those conversations and like feel like, hey, like I might need this, and have people listen and go through it and have it work out. I mean, my season could have ended right after that second one, and I would have had plenty to be happy about and and be proud of having made happen. I think the first idol play, we didn't know we were playing it on me until an hour before tribal council. Me and Mike sat down, we saw a little clip of it, talked for almost 2 hours, I think, the lounge in my dorm, and we kind of deduced that there was a good chance it was me. I still thought it was a good chance to be Derek, and Geneva kind of been hinting the whole week that it might be me. I just didn't want to believe her. But so that first one, I think we got there. The other 6 people, the Maroon 5 plus Sean, they all showed up in the same car. And I had asked for a ride because I lived so far away, and no one responded in the group chat. So that was the big tell for me that something was up. But I think that Geneva and Addie did a good job getting information. I didn't even know that the hand signal worked or was a thing until Addie mentioned it at Final Tribal. So I think everyone on our side figured it out on their own and put the pieces together and went through with it. And then the second one was just Addie and Geneva put themselves in a power position and made the decision that benefited their game, and found the idol, gave it to Mike. And I don't know why that play was so complicated, but it worked out. So I can't complain about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cold as hell. They were gonna vote you out and make you walk home.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know why. I purposely cut that out. That I think Austin or someone said it. Like they all came in the car together. I'm like, come on, like, are you that dumb to all just ignore Austin and come in one car together? Like, oh, Jesus. But when was the moment? I think I know the answer, but I just wanted you to say it. But when was the moment where you your brain twisted that, you know what, I don't have to win this game?
I think there's a couple moments where I realized how strong and how great the people in my alliance were post-merge. I think after the Abby vote during that tribal council, I think me and Erica got the chippy in it, which, I felt bad about afterwards. But at the time, I don't know. I think her and I got into an argument because I told her to play her idol that first travel after the tribe swap, and she didn't want to acknowledge the fact that I said that, or if I was the first person to give her that information, who cares? I think at that point, I kind of realized how just cutthroat the game would be from our side versus your side. But I think, I don't know. It's hard. I think probably around then, maybe after the challenge I won, the loved ones visit, is kind of where I settled down and tried to just play the team game that I had been lacking to that point.
Well, it was amazing. And your social connections really propelled you. I don't know if I made that, but you listed off everyone in the jury and a little thing about them that you had, like with Erica, you were talking about the Flyers hockey team, and you had literally everyone you had a relationship with, which was definitely unseen and unexpected. Jack says he had a flat tire or he would have drove you. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. Do you guys have any questions for Austin?
Not questions, just you played a great game. It was great to watch.
I praise.
Thank you. Thank you. Watching it back, I think.
What's your favorite move that you made this season?
Ooh. I can't say I solely did the Jack move on my own, but being a part of that was fantastic just for my own game and bettering my game, but the entertainment value behind it was also amazing. But I think, I don't know, I think that Final Four tribal council and going into the tiebreaker and all of that, I think that was probably my favorite part of being a part of the show.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, because you found the idol in Club Penguin.
Yeah.
And you told the other people in your alliance that you didn't get the clue just yet. There was errors in the clue, and then
that was truth.
Later, and then we found it. And how do you feel about that now that the game is over? Delaying giving your alliances.
Yeah, I think I cut out for the last part of it, but if I understand what you said correctly, Luke totally messed up the thing. They changed the layout of Club Penguin the day of the clue getting to me, and like Luke didn't notice until he was supposed to give it to me. So I was already gonna spend 15 minutes on my own looking for it and like using my guesses. And I just luckily enough like found it immediately that I didn't have to wait even longer. But yeah, people were suspicious and I knew that they would be, but Luke actually did have to change the clue for that.
Yeah. Well, he won the season, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It wasn't on me. It was on Club Penguin. Little did they know that they change up based on freaking holidays. God.
Yeah, I don't even know what that was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be behind like a snowman, but apparently it was approaching summer, so they changed it into a beach theme. But it's penguins. I don't understand. Anyone else have any comments, questions?
Austin, I think you played a cool game. Mostly because it's like a little bit of like a backwards thing. You obviously were loyal to people. And one of the things that people will like tout as their great thing is like they were loyal to others. I think like your biggest like accomplishment in this game is how loyal people were to you. And I think that's often like seen as a negative. It's like, oh, you had to have idols played on you. I'm like, no, you were a target. Props to you. That means you're doing shit. And then you have people willing to save you. Props to you. That means you're doing a lot of really good shit. So I think how like this game where yes, you kept your loyalties, but it was really cool to see how you were able to convince people to be loyal to you and work with you and protect you. Because I thought you were a huge target the whole time. Your name was still going to keep coming up. And you built that story from the very beginning. So I think it was a really cool, like different story and game that we got to see, and a super deserving winner. So props to you.
Yeah, thank you.
You got voted for 16 times. That's I don't know what's the record.
I would have been 16 years off my life at least. Like,
and he still wasn't stressed out. He was still very cool, calm, collected when his name was out there. Oh my god. Here's a good question. I just thought of this on the fly. Go me. But where do you think you should have been voted out?
Like as far as where I ranked like with other people's games, or like where should like the lectures run out? Like,
or where do you think they should have targeted you and taken you out? I guess.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to give them the chance to do it before the merge, so I just won every challenge before the merge. Because I think it would have came around there. Like if I was not immune at the transition period, I think I would have gone. That's why I went out and won that challenge. I think I would have gone there. I think there was a chance that if we didn't win the last immunity challenge before the merge, the one where Mitch and Eli went home, I think that if my tribe didn't win that, I also probably could have gone there. Just because of, they said they wanted to take out Sean or Derek for the double idol, but, they kind of had faith in Mike and maybe just, wanted to get me out. I think right around when they started targeting me is probably where I should have gone as far as letting me have more chances in the game to survive.
That is so true. I remember that puzzle or that emoji challenge. Everyone's Maroon 9's confessional was like, that Austin kid is so smart. I have to watch. Like Jack, I think that's when Jack said that Austin kid is scary.
Yeah.
So that's very valid. If you were in the transitional, who knows what would happened?
Wait, Luke, was Sean voted out at Final 8?
Oh, Final 8 or 7.
I think it was.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this is like totally irrational, but normally I notice that people like if you don't vote somebody out at Final 8, they end up like winning the game. Like and people that I've seen watch like in other seasons, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like if they hadn't got a vote at Final 8, like they literally had a clear path to the end. So I feel like if you had gone home instead of Sean there, that's probably where like they should have done it.
Fair.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
That's true. Geneva's paying.
That's the whole end game. It just does. So.
Yeah. Let's look at these comments. He really whooped me at Final 4. That performance was absolutely stellar. It was props to you, man. Sorry I contributed to that 16, Austin. Geneva.
Apologize for the votes. That's what you're supposed to do. The Penguins had drip. I don't know who's paying for like premium Club Penguin, but more power to them.
I love how I made that a thing. That's such a me thing. Putting club,
That's such a you thing, Luke. I would, no offense, I would never put that in my game.
That's why we're different here at Survivor Series. The cast may not love it, but you know, I have authority, so it's fine. But Austin, amazing winner. Definitely deserved. It was great to see your game. It was like you came out of nowhere, in my opinion. And like when you really got kicking like post merge and you got saved, and I was like, oh shit, this kid's going places. And as a freshman too, I don't know how you're that cool, calm, and collected as a freshman. Jeez. But yeah, thanks for playing, and it was great. And you're still a freshman, you'll still be around. I mean, but definitely great to have as what is it like in the history books in Survivor Syracuse. A great person to call as one of my winners when I was hosting. So thank you for playing. And thank you for the kind words in the episode as well. That was very big.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great.
Of course, man. Austin, you have a good night. I will see you when I see you.
Yeah.
But yeah, good luck with everything.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for being a part of this. It means a lot.
Thank you.
So.
What a winner. Amazing. What a great
season.
Thank you. What are your guys' opinions on the season as a whole? To wrap it all up.
Ooh.
I loved it. I thought there was the right amount of drama happening. Like maybe one week it wouldn't be as much, but then the next week it would.
Mm-hmm.
I always look forward to like sitting down and just watching it because you just never knew what was going to happen. Especially with like a few blindsides that happened. That was really crazy.
I think for me, it was the fact that there were so many people that left pre-merge that had like such potential in the game, like Aaron, Daisy, Hassan, Hannah. Like Hannah leaving, like I was so sad. Like I know like people had their opinions, but like
Shane just likes drama.
It makes it so much more interesting to watch. Like not gonna lie, like and. I mean, Hannah definitely played a little too hard, too quickly. But like, well, not a little, but a lot. Nonetheless, like her leaving pre-merge was like really, really sad. Just like there were so many people. Like I thought Meg even had like strong game potential, and Mitch too. Like there were so many people. Like the entire pre-merge was just stacked. So I mean, it just set up for the merge really well.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing. I think your twist was super unique, so that really spiced up things. I thought that was super cool, and I think your cast was this cast for season 2 was really strong, top to bottom. There weren't really any duds. There weren't really any dead weight sort of people, and everyone brought something, and there was action from the beginning. This was one of my favorite like college Survivor seasons, beginning to end. Just the storylines that took place. It was really, really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, the players were all strong. I think even the weakest in quotes player of the season, like the weakest among them, have potential to go on and win another game somewhere else. And also, I was about to say the same thing about the twist. I thought the twist was really unique and fun. I think it's kind of hard to come up with unique twists like that nowadays, but that was interesting to watch every week.
I would have lost my mind and I would have been like, these people.
Oh yeah, it would have been so different if Derek got home too. I always think back of that. And
if Derek had gone home as the first snake, it's a whole new
absolutely
whole different game. Not just because he's the first vote, because with the snake and everything, like who would have known what would have happened then? If Mitch got a snake, he would have won the game. Like simple as that.
If Mitch made merge, he would have won all of the challenges because he just dunk on him. Like people would just get out of his way and let him win.
I'm going to spoil the reunion, but Mitch was like, you know what? I'm glad I went home because I saved you guys the trouble of trying to get me out later on.
I love him.
Classic Mitch. Oh, what a guy. But before I tease the next season, I'm going to give you guys each an opportunity. Once again, thank you guys for being here. But I'm going to give you guys each an opportunity to just shout out whatever you want. And yeah, we'll start with Shane because he's right below.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of pressure. Thanks again to Luke for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I really enjoyed the season. Just fantastic cast from beginning to end. I guess I'll promote my season of Survivor. Well, not my season, but the season that I'm co-hosting. We are airing sometime in the next month on Tuesdays. So look out for Scotty Survivor at CMU. So that's Scotty_Survivor on Instagram. And if you want to keep up with me and what I'm going to be posting about it and my takes on the game, I'm at Shane Killen on Instagram. And yeah, just thank you, Luke, again, and looking forward to doing more of these.
Amazing. Thank you, Shane. Great to have gotten to know you, especially in these last couple post shows. But yeah, let's move forward to Ethan.
Thank you, Luke. And thank you, as Shane said, for having us on all of these. It's super fun, really great season, and really, like, I feel privileged to get to engage with the college Survivor community in the way I get to. So my encouragement to all of you viewers is to do the same. Come watch Survivor Yukon. We have seasons 1 and 2 out in full, and they are both excellent, super fun products. Follow us on Instagram at survivor.yukon. Follow us on Twitter, just Survivor Yukon. And just we have season 3, which we're hoping to shoot for the fall, but don't quote me on that yet. But this is so much fun. Like I said, I am grateful to be a part of this. So if you have a chance to engage with it, it's such a great community to be a part of. So really just happy to be here and check out Survivor Yukon. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Boom. Ethan, I hope you're proud of me because I'm doing this without
You
any...
got it handled. You didn't even have to like pause or talk about it.
Oh yeah, Nick, I showed you how
Okay. Hi. Thanks for having me again, Luke. I'm glad that I was at the beginning of the season and then also at the end, because like you can go back and watch and like see if my opinions changed. I'm sure that they did. Anyway, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at _NLLC_. I like to think that I'm really funny. So hit me up. And then also whenever Ball Viber season 1 comes out, you can catch me on there. I really don't know when it's gonna come out. It was supposed to come out last semester, but at Danny Butler, where the season at. Anyway, I'm pretty sure the YouTube channel is called Ball Viber S1. I don't know. Look it up. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I think it's changed a couple times, but you can find me on that season. And yeah, and come support us because me, Brenda, and Rashawn, I'm pretty sure at this point are the official promoters of this season because I'm the only one. I think we're the only ones promoting it. So hit us up. We're the best 3.
Amazing. Thank you, Nick. And last but not least, Brenda.
Yeah, thanks again, Luke, and thank you to the cast for making this season super enjoyable to watch. This is the first time that I've actually like sat down and followed a season through the end, which this was a great season to start with. So if anybody knows of like any online Survivor games coming up, please hit me up. My Instagram is baharder at BSU. So yes, please send those my way. Thank you.
Awesome. And we did it. Slow, but we did it. Usually I mess up those solo layouts. But last one's the charm. But basically, thank you guys again. Similar to Brenda, this is the first time I've kind of been in the community of College Survivor. I mean, I think I says for a lot of us, that's not Maryland or the Big 3 or whatever. And it's really cool. It's really cool that even though within this quarantine and everything, the College Survivor and just College Survivor in general, from Carnegie Mellon to new ones starting up, has just been going off. And there are a lot of seasons to come and a lot of great seasons to watch as well. And with that said, we close the books on a great season 2, other than the reunion, which will come out next week. Stay tuned for that. But we close the books on a great season 2, an amazing cast. Shout out to all of them. Thank you all for playing and enriching us with that great season that we just watched. Congratulations once again to Austin. Austin and Ava now make the only 2 winners we have officially out there. Great winners. Great. Love them both. I can't have it another way. But that being said, end of summer, most likely, 2021, we have season 3 of Syrvivor Syracuse coming out. We already officially filmed it. We're starting our editing literally this upcoming week. We hope to get it out by the end of summer at the latest. And what I can say, there will be a teaser at the reunion, but what I can say right now, with 3, we're going to test out 3 different types of games. And we want to see what these 3 different types of games, if they clash when they combine, or if they meld into one solid unit when they do combine. That being said, Season 3, even though while it is at COVID, it's a mixture of hybrid, in-person, Zoom, but it's a great cast, great season, phenomenal moves, everything, Survivor firsts, and it's just a great season. So I'm excited to launch that out there at the end of summer. And from everyone here at Syrvivor Syracuse, stay well. Thank you for watching, and we will see you all soon.